Welcome to Guide Mia. Today we're going to talk about opening cloud files in Cympha Studio. You have a file in your cloud, a scan, a treatment plan, a project bundle, and you want to look at it properly, orbit it, measure it, screenshot it. You don't need a case for that, and you don't need to install anything. Studio runs entirely in the browser, and every viewable file in your cloud is 2 clicks away from it. In this lecture you'll learn which formats open, where the View in 3D viewer action lives, what Studio lets you do with each file type, and how to save your work back when inspection turns into something more. Follow along, or listen now and read the guide later. Let's set the frame first. Opening a file from my cloud into Studio is a viewer mode handoff. You're inspecting the file, looking, measuring, taking screenshots, without attaching it to anything. Nothing about the file changes, no case is created, and there's nothing to install, because Studio runs entirely in the browser. The modern desktop browsers all work. It loads on mobile too, but the workspace is designed for a real screen. The boundary to keep in mind: for real design work, requesting changes, saving project state, running the AI categories, you'll want a case. And conveniently, Studio can create one from whatever you're looking at, which we'll get to near the end. Studio's Open by Address entry recognizes 3 families. First, the standard mesh formats STL, PLY, and OBJ, which is what intraoral scans and model exports come as. Second, the Guide Mia treatment case, the GVW file, plain or zipped. This is much more than a mesh. It carries the plan tooth positions, the segmentation, and any markups from a previous design session, so you're reviewing an actual plan. Third, the Cympha project bundle, the CYP file, a single archive holding a manifest and all the assets of a saved Studio session. Anything else, documents, images, spreadsheets, isn't a Studio format, and the row menu will tell you so before you ever click, as we'll see next. Step 1 is just navigation. Open your cloud page and walk the folders to the file. The breadcrumb at the top shows where you are, and clicking any segment jumps you back up. Each file row shows the name, the size, and a 3-dot More Actions menu on the right. Step 2. Open that menu. You'll always see Download, plus Share and the File Management actions. The one you want is View in 3D Viewer, and here's the tell: that entry only appears when Cympha recognizes the extension as viewable. If you see Open in Browser instead, the file isn't a format Studio handles. Clicking it just downloads or opens the raw file in a new tab. So the menu itself answers the question, will this open in Studio? Before you ever click. Click View in 3D Viewer, and 2 things happen in quick succession. First, Cympha generates a pre-signed download link for the file and authenticated, expiring address straight to your storage. Then a new browser tab opens Studio's Open a Model entry with that link, and Studio auto-detects what it's been handed, a mesh, a treatment case, or a project bundle, and dispatches to the right loader. Notice what you didn't do: sign into Studio. The file is served through the sign link, not through Studio's own authentication, so the viewer just opens. If the file is large, a CBCT, a complex project bundle, Studio shows a loading state while the data streams in. Give it a moment. It's worth a moment on why the link works this way, because it explains a failure you'll otherwise hit later. Your cloud files are private, nobody can fetch them without your credentials. The pre-signed link is the workaround, a one-time, short-lived signature that lets Studio fetch the bytes without ever exposing your credentials. The cost of that safety is that the link stops working after a few minutes. So you can't bookmark the Studio tab and expect it to load tomorrow, and you can't paste the address to a colleague as a permanent share, it will die on them. When you need the file again, reopen it from my cloud and you get a fresh link. When you want to hand it to someone else, use the share feature, which is built for exactly that. What you can do inside depends on what you opened. A raw mesh gets the generic mesh viewer: orbit, zoom, measure point-to-point distances in millimeters, take screenshots. No segmentation or planning state ships with a raw mesh, and note that cross-sectional slice views are a CBCT feature. They need a volume loaded, not a mesh. Open a GVW treatment case and you get the real thing: the segmented teeth, any planned positions, and the step bar along the bottom, which makes this the way to review a design without owning a copy of it. Open a CYP bundle and Studio reads its manifest and restores the entire saved workspace, segmentation, plan, markups, whatever was captured when it was saved. Whatever you opened, the working verbs are the same. You can take screenshots and save them locally, often that's the whole errand: capture a view, drop it into a message. You can measure point-to-point distances in millimeters, which answers most quick clinical questions about a scan. And you can annotate, but here's the catch: to hear clearly, annotations live in session. Close the tab without saving, and they're gone. That's by design. Remember, viewing never moves or modifies the file in your cloud. So the moment your inspection turns into work worth keeping, you need one of the 3 exits on the next slide: save a bundle, push a plan back, or start a case. Viewing never overwrites the original file, so if you did something worth keeping, you have 3 exits. Exit 1. Save the session as a fresh project bundle via Save Project As, in Studio's hamburger menu, then upload that CYP back into your cloud. It lands as a new file alongside the original. Exit 2 is special to treatment cases. For a GVW open from a cloud link, a signed-in reviewer gets a cloud upload button on the case bar that saves the revised case plan straight back next to the source file, no download step at all. Exit 3. Decide the file deserves a real workflow, and use Studio's Create Cympha Case action, which captures the current scene as the starting point of a new case. That path has its own lecture in this series. One honest limitation: the Pro menu opens one file at a time, and there's no multi-select open in Studio in this iteration. 2 workarounds. The canonical one: if the files are parts of one design, upper scan, lower scan, byte, they belong in a single project bundle anyway. Build that in Studio once, upload the bundle back to my cloud, and from then on a single view in 3D viewer click loads everything together. The quick one: click View in 3D Viewer on each file in turn, and each opens in its own Studio tab. You can flip between tabs, but they're isolated, they can't share state, so you can't measure across them. For anything you'll open more than once, the bundle is worth the minute it takes. The failure modes are mercifully consistent, and there are 6 worth knowing. 3 now, 3 on the next slide. First, the Row menu offers Open in Browser instead of View in 3D Viewer. That means the extension isn't one Studio recognizes as 3-dimensional. Either it's simply not a 3D file, like a PDF, an image, or a document, or it's a format Studio doesn't currently parse. Use Download instead, or go back to the source software and export to one of the supported formats: a mesh, a treatment case plain or zipped, or a project bundle. Second, the Studio tab opens but the scene is empty. Usually the sign link expired before Studio could fetch the file. Close the tab and click View in 3D Viewer again for a fresh one. The same symptom appears if the file is corrupted, or if something was renamed to a 3D extension it isn't. Third, a toast saying could not open viewer. That one means the request for the sign link itself failed, before Studio was ever involved, most often a transient authentication blip. Refresh the cloud page and retry, and if it keeps happening, your session may have expired. Sign out and sign back in. And the other 3. If the model shows up but it's enormous, floating off in space, or oriented wrong, that's the source file, not Studio. Raw meshes carry their own coordinate system, and a file exported from a non-dental tool often doesn't match Cympha's conventions. Use Studio's transform tools to reposition it, or re-export from the original software with a sensible reference frame. If you made changes in Studio and want them in your cloud, the answer depends on the file. For a treatment case open from a cloud link, sign in and use the Cloud Upload button to push the revised case plan back. For anything else, save from Studio's hamburger menu with Save Project As, then upload that bundle back into my cloud, where it lands as a new file alongside the original, never replacing it. And the last one isn't a fault at all, just the natural next question: what if you want this file on a case, not merely in the viewer? 2 paths. Close Studio, go to the folder in my cloud, and use Create Case from folder. That's the folder-driven route. Or stay where you are and use Studio's Create Cympha Case action to spin a case from the current scene. Both have their own written guides. 2 clicks, and any scan, plan, or bundle in your cloud is on screen, measurable, in the browser. Where you go next depends on what the file turns out to be. If it's worth a workflow, spin a case either from Studio's Create Cympha Case action or from the folder in my cloud. If it just needs to reach a colleague, use a share. Both of those are lectures of their own in this series, as is the deeper tour of Studio itself. The written guide, with every format, menu entry, and failure mode, lives at cympha.com, under Docs, as open cloud files in Studio. We're covering every Cympha workflow in this series, one lecture at a time, so subscribe if that's useful to you. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.